那非常欢迎各位佛友来参加我们今天的这个佛理讲座。Very welcome to everyone to join us in our Dharma talk this evening. And today our Dharma talk will be given by Zen Master Dae Kwang and Myong Sunim. 那今天我们的佛理讲座呢，是由我们大光禅师呢跟明眼法师呢为我们进行这个开示。那在开始之前呢，我会简单的介绍一下我们的禅师跟我们的这个法师。Before we begin, I'll give a short introduction to our Zen Masters and our Sunim. Our Zen Master Dae Kwang is the former abbot of Guanyin School of Zen and the resident Zen Master of Guanyin Chanling Zen Meditation Center in Singapore. He is also the guiding teacher of Great Lake Zen Center and Mexico City Zen Center. He travels widely, leading retreats throughout North America, Europe, and Asia. He received Dharma transmission from Zen Master Songsan in 1996. 大光禅师呢是国际观音禅宗会的前任住持及观音禅林的禅住禅师，他也是大湖禅修中心跟墨西哥市禅修中心的指导老师。他经常到世界各地，包括北美洲、欧洲、亚洲领导精进禅修。他于1996年呢获得松山禅师传法。Myong Sunim was born in Malaysia. He was ordained in February 1997 by Zen Master Songsan and has practiced in Hong Kong as well as Wagiksa and Musangsa in Korea. In 2013, he returned to Malaysia to start the Heng Won Zen Center in Penang. In November 2015, he received income and the authority to teach Zen from Zen Master Dae Kwang and Zen Master Dae Kwang. 那明眼法师呢，出生于马来西亚。他于1993年呢，2月依松山禅师出家，并居在香港及韩国的华西市和无上市进行禅修。他于2013年呢回返马来西亚，在槟城呢创立了行愿禅院，并于2015年呢11月获得大光禅师跟大风禅师的认可，成为禅修的指导法师。So right now we're going to invite Myong Sunim to give his Dharma talk. 现在我们邀请我们明眼法师为大家进行开示。
大家晚上好。
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
我是冇真夠講普通話 ，so 確定呢我講阿毛話 OK 冇？
Because Myong Sunim seldom speak Mandarin, so this Dharma talk he will give in English. Will that be okay?
謝謝你。
So thank you very much.
So this Vesak Day, our theme is the Great Way has no gate.
那么我们的卫赛节的主题呢是无门关。
So many of us try to find our true way in our life.
那我们很多人呢都在日常生活中呢寻找这个正道。
And many people in this world believe that if they find the money gate, then they will find their true way.
那很多人认为呢，他们如果找到钱门呢，就是有钱的这个门呢，他们会得到很多快乐。
But sometimes it always seems like money no enough gate.
可是很多时候呢，我们发现都是钱不够的这个门。
But you know, quite often if you work hard, then you get to be quite successful.
那我们努力工作的话，可能我们会变得很成功。
Then you start to have these nice things like you have a flat, you have a car, you have some cash, then maybe you get married, and then you have baby.
那可能我们会得到了很多，可能我们可以买个主屋，那我们可以买车，那我们可以结婚，那我们可以生孩子。
Then everything seems like it's going okay in your life.
那我们生活呢，我们觉得还蛮顺利的。
Seems like found your way.
那可能看起来你已经找到了正道。
Then maybe one evening you're watching TV with your partner,
那可能有一天晚上呢，你跟着伴侣一起在看这个电视，
then your partner turns to you
那你的伴侣呢转向你，
and your partner says, "Ah, darling,
他说 ，Darling，
you know, we have this baby now, 2 years old.
那我们现在有这个小孩，我们婴孩已经2岁了，
You know, a few years' time, we're 5, 6 years old.
那再过几年后呢，他就5、6岁了，
I have to go to kindergarten.
然后就要上这个就是幼儿班。
Our flat very far away from kindergarten.
那我们的住家呢，离这个幼儿班的距离太远了。
And maybe our 3-bedroom flat not big enough.
那我们的3房4主屋呢，可能不够大了。
Maybe we need 4-bedroom.
那可能我们需要换成这个4房4的主屋。
Also need to take our baby to school. Need bigger car.
那我们需要把这个小孩带去上学，我们可能需要大一点的车。
You change job, get more money, okay or not?
你转换你的工作来赚更多的钱，好不好？
Then suddenly this money no enough gate come in front of you again.
那你面前呢，那个钱不够，这个门就掉了下来了。
Or sometimes nowadays especially,
那我们尤其是我们现在。
many people think they find their true way through the iPhone or the Android phone.
那我们现在很多人都以为通过我们的手机，就是苹果的手机呢，或者是一些新款式的手机，我们可以找到正道。
Seems like through your smartphone you can go anywhere.
因为用着我们的手机呢，我们到处都可以去。
You can use this Google goggles and then, I go to Las Vegas and it's like 3D reality.
那通过这手机呢，我们可以去到这个拉斯维斯加，就是好像一个3维的一个体验这样子。
Or you play some Warcraft.
或者你打一些游戏，
Or some shooting game.
或者一个射击的游戏。
Then, wow, it's like you found your way, you found your friends in the game.
那你在游戏里呢找到你的朋友，
But this only lasts a short time.
可是呢，它并不长久。
You finish your game, you still have to come back and do your daily work.
因为你完成你的游戏之后呢，你要回到你的生活当中呢，你就要再继续你的日常的工作。
So what really is the true way? Is it smartphone? Is it money no enough
那
way?
但是什么是正道呢？是手机的游戏呢，还是钱不够呢？
Many years ago, one of my teacher's students was driving around in the States.
那很多年前呢，我一个老师的一个学生呢，就在这个美国呢，他驾车子到处兜。
Actually, now she's one of the Zen masters in our school.
不过其实他现在呢，已经是我们学院里的一位禅师。
But that time she was driving around this city, I think it's Los Angeles. She's not very familiar with the city.
那他早期呢，他驾的车子呢，在这个城市里兜呢，他由于对那城市很不熟悉。
Then she wanted to go somewhere. She came off the main highway and came down the ramp.
他要去某一个地方呢，他就从这个快速公路呢下来了。
Then when she came off the ramp, suddenly she realized, I made the wrong exit.
他下了这个斜坡要出口的时候，他发现他走错路了，他走错门了。
And she didn't know where she was.
他不知道他去了哪里。
Then she had to, it's like all this one-way system, very complicated. So she drove around and suddenly she realized she was in not such a good area.
然后突然间，因为那个地方是蛮大，所以他兜错了一圈子呢，就可能绕回去了。所以他在那边兜的话，他发现他的环境并不是一个很好的一个环境。
So little afraid, young woman, maybe about 20 years old.
所以由于她是一个年轻的一个少女，大概20岁左右，所以她心里感觉到害怕。
One person in the car driving around like she's lost.
一个人在车子里面呢，驾着车子好像已经迷路了。
And many tough guys standing on the corner, like looking, what's this young white woman doing here?
周围呢就有很多不友善的人呢，男士呢就有非常就是以非常异样的眼光望着他。为什么有个年轻的少女呢，驾着车子呢，在我们这个地方呢一直兜来兜去？
So start to get a little more and more worried. I have to ask somebody, but who can I ask, you know?
所以这个少女呢感到非常的焦虑，她认为我应该向人问路，可是我可以问谁呢？
If I ask one of these tough guys, I don't know what they'll do to me if I stop the car and roll down the window. So she didn't dare ask them.
所以她不知道，她如果把这个车子的窗口转下来的时候，问其中站在路边的那男士呢，他并不知道他们会对他怎么样，所以他不敢这么做。
Then, as she was driving, she saw a gas station.
所以他在驾的时候，他发现一个加油站。
I'll go there and ask. So she drove into the gas station and stopped the car.
所以他就决定了，我要到进这个加油站，我可以问他们，请教他们我到底在哪里。他于是呢就把车子呢开进这个加油站，把这个车子停了下来。
Then the gas station attendant came out.
那个加油站的这个负责的加油的工作人员呢就上来了。
And it was this really big, like 6'6" black guy, you know.
他是一个很高很强大的一个黑人。
And looks a little tough.
我感觉那个黑人也是非常强壮。
And she's like, uh-oh.
所以他就感觉到有一点。
But anyway, no choice.
他没有的选择。
So she rolled down the window.
他就把这个窗口慢慢的搅下来。
And then this guy said, "What can I get you, ma'am?"
那个男生就问了，我可以帮助你什么吗？
Then she's like, "Oh, can you help me? I'm lost."
他就问他，少女就问他，你可以帮助我吗？我迷路了。
And then this black guy said, "No, honey, you ain't lost. You're right here."
那个男士就说，你没有迷路，你现在就在这儿。
So you're right here. You're not lost.
说你没有迷路，你现在就在这儿。
So, where is the true way?
所以哪里是正道？
It's just in front of you.
所以，它就在你的面前。
We don't have to look far.
我们并不需要看得很远。
So this in ancient China, this third patriarch called Sing San.
在中国呢，第3位祖师生灿祖师。
He got Dharma transmission from Huike.
他从那个二祖呢慧可那边呢得到这个传法。
Who got transmission from Bodhidharma.
那慧可呢由这个是由那个我们的禅宗的这个祖师，就是达摩祖师传这个法给这个慧可的。
When he became Zen master at that time, Buddhism was really persecuted in China, so he had to go in hiding for like 10 or 12 years.
所以当圣禅祖师拿到这个传法的时候呢，当时在中国呢，佛教已经算是不再盛行，所以其实佛教的那些佛教徒会被被追杀啊，所以因此呢，他们这个圣禅祖师呢需要躲起来。
And practicing all the time when he was hiding from people looking for him.
所以呢，他就躲起来呢，进行自己的修行。
So when he came out, he wrote this poem called "Trust in Mind."
所以当他出关的时候呢，他就写了一首诗。
So the first 4 lines says this.
那这首诗的前4句是这么说的。
The great way is not difficult.
大道并不难，大道无难。
Just don't pick and choose.
不要选择。
Cut off all likes and dislikes.
切断你的喜欢跟厌恶。
And it is clear like space.
那就清明如虚空了。
So, what does it mean?
那它到底是什么意思呢？
In our tradition, we'll say, if you put it all down,
在我们的教导说，你全部放下的时候呢
my opinion, my condition, my situation,
就是放下我的见解、我的环境、我的处境、
all my likes, dislike,
我的一生的喜欢跟厌恶，
my I, my me.
我跟我的我所，
Return to this moment.
回到当下。
Then the true way is right in front of you.
那我们的正道就在我们的面前了，
You can enter from anywhere.
你哪里都可以正入这个正道，
Don't have to look far.
不需要看得太远，
Okay?
可以吗？
Thank you very much.
谢谢大家。
Thank you, Sunim. 谢谢 Sunim. 法术 excuse me. And good evening, everybody.
那大家晚安。
Thank you for coming and helping us celebrate Vesak Day.
那谢谢各位来到我们道场，帮助我们庆祝我们的卫赛节。
Sometimes when we listen to Dharma talks or read sutras or read books about Buddhism, things can get very complicated.
那有时呢，我们来听是这个佛法开示，有时我们诵经，那有时我们读这个书本，那有时呢就发现我们的头脑呢就越来越复杂。
And it seems like when you read about it, like the Buddha talked about a lot of stuff.
那我们读的越多呢，我们可能会认为我们这个佛陀呢讲了太多太多的东西。
But actually, if you look at it a little bit deeply, you'll notice that he only talks about one thing, and that's human suffering.
那其实你发现呢，其实佛陀在讲的呢，只有讲一样东西，就是人生的苦。
And how to take away human suffering.
那如何去掉这个人生的这个苦？
So, when the Buddha was a young man, he had this wonderful flat, except it was a palace.
那佛陀还是一个年轻人的时候，他有个很好的处境，他就住在皇宫里面。
And then one day he left his wonderful situation and went out.
那有一天呢，他就离开他非常好的处境呢，他就出家。
And then he saw three things.
然后他看到三样东西，
He saw an old man, a sick man, and a dead man.
他看到一个老人，他看到一个病人跟一个死人。
Then he realized, wow, this is going to happen to me.
他就认为啊，我以后也会经历这样的这个情况。
So these three things are interesting because they'll happen to everybody.
因为这三样东西呢非常有趣，因为它会发生在每一个人的身上。
Right? He became one with these three people.
那这个佛陀呢，就以这三个人呢合一了。
But then you say, no, a lot of people die when they're young. They never get old.
可是有些人呢，有些人会认为，有些人不会变老，他年轻的时候就会去世了。
And some people are very healthy and they don't get sick, but then they die.
那有些人可能会很年轻，他们老的时候就老去就死去，他们不会生病。
And of course, dead people don't say anything.
那有些人什么都不说。
So if you can avoid those things,
如果你可以避免这些呢，
maybe you can find true happiness.
可能你可以挣到真正的快乐。
So when he saw these three things are us.
所以他看到这三样东西的时候，这三样东西其实就是我们自己。
No matter how much money you have, how nice your house is, how big your car is, old age, sickness, and death will get you.
所以不管你多么的富有，你的汽车有多么的豪华，总有一天呢，生老病死苦呢都会找上你。
So these are the three basic things that create suffering for all human beings.
所以这三样东西呢，病老死苦呢，都会找向我们每一个人。
Then when the Buddha perceived this, inside of his mind appeared this great question.
所以当佛陀看到这三样东西的时候呢，他心里呢起了一个大疑团。
what are we really here for?
那我们来这里到底是为什么？
Right? So he made a joke about getting a flat. He made a joke about getting a flat.
所以刚才法师呢开了个玩笑，讲一个买主屋的这个玩笑。
Or about having enough money.
就是说已经拥有了钱。
Or how do you get the kid to school?
如果要如何把这个孩子呢带到学校去上课？
But in the end, old age, sickness, and death, they're the basic ingredients of human suffering.
其实呢，我们看到最基本的就是病老死呢，其实这是每个人类的基本都会发生的事情。
So when the Buddha perceived that, and we all can perceive it if you look around, then he had the big question.
当佛陀已经见到了这三样东西呢，如果你本身呢看了我们身边的人呢，你也会看到这一点。
Why are we here?
所以为什么你来到这里？
Are we here for money?
我们是为了赚钱而来吗？
Are we here for fame and social
我们
acceptance?
是为了名利来赚取人家的一个赞同吗？
Are we here for sex?
我们是为了这个性欲而来的吗？
Right? Are we here to eat good food?
我们是为了吃好的东西而来的吗？
You know, if you live in Singapore, you might think that.
如果是我们大家新加坡，我们都认为吃东西是非常重要的。
Or maybe we're here to get a good night's sleep.
或者我们来到这里呢，我们希望可以得到一个很好的一个睡眠。
But if you look at these 5 things closely, you'll notice that old age, sickness, and death smashes them all.
可是你看到这5样东西呢，我们这个老病死呢，就会把它们全部的打碎了。
Then he wondered, what are we?
所以到最后呢，是我们到底是什么？
Why are we really here?
那我们真的为什么来到这个地方？
So here's an interesting thing about this question. He didn't know how to answer it.
然后就是一个很有趣的，就是佛法并不懂得怎么回答这个问题。
You'll also notice if you look inside,
我们也是往内看的话，
you don't know how to answer it either.
你也不懂得怎么回答这个问题。
So this is one meaning of the great way has no gate. What do I do?
所以我们的这个卫赛的主题无门关，那我们应该做些什么？
He also wondered, what can I do?
那佛陀也是问自己，
You know,
可以做些什么？
there's so much suffering. What can you do?
人间这么多痛苦，我可以做些什么？
So then he gave up his good situation.
所以他就放弃了一个自己的好的一个处境。
We say he left home, right?
所以我们说他出家了，
Which means he left striving after money, fame, sex, money, food, and sleep.
所以他真正的意思呢，就是他放弃了追求名利、钱、性欲跟睡眠跟好吃的东西，全部放弃了。
Because he wanted to find the answer to this question.
因为他要寻找他问题的一个答案，
It's probably the most basic question that any human being has.
所以这是每个人类都有的一个非常基本的一个问题。
But he didn't know what to do.
可是他并不知道该怎么做，
So he went and visited several teachers.
所以因此佛陀呢拜访了很多位老师，
Then he completely attained what these two teachers were teaching, but it didn't answer this question.
所以多位老师呢给他一个教导，可是他并不能回答他本身内心中的那个问题。
So then finally he just went and sat underneath a tree and looked inside.
所以有一天呢，他终于坐在菩提树下呢，往内心看，
He didn't know what to do.
他不知道该怎么做，
He just breathed in and breathed out. Very simple. Eh?
他只是呼吸，非常简单。
And he looked inside.
他往内观，
Then, boom, he woke up. That's the answer.
然后突然间他觉醒了，那就是答案。
So that's very interesting. He got the answer. Right?
所以非常有趣，因为他得到了答案。
So what he said was very interesting.
他说了一句非常有趣的话，
He said that human beings already have the answer inside.
他说人类呢本身已经拥有了这个答案，
They already have what they really are, their true nature inside.
所以每个人呢都有这个真性跟佛性在我们里面，
Every human being has it.
每个人都有，
That means the Buddha,
就是说佛陀，
and it means you and me.
他就是说你跟我
Inside, we have it.
里面我们已经拥有了，
But,
可是
this is the big but of life.
这就是个人生中的很大的一个可是。
But human beings don't know that, and because they don't know what they really are, they suffer.
可是，人呢，很多人都不知道，说因为我们不知道呢，说我们受苦。
So then the Buddha is faced with a problem. How do I teach it to other people?
然后佛陀呢，就遇到了一个很大的一个困扰，说我要如何去教导他人呢？
So he gets up from underneath the Bodhi tree after he finds the answer, and he goes and he starts teaching. Right?
那他从佛陀呢，就从这个菩提树上，菩提树下呢站起来呢，就开始去传法，去教导别人。
So you'll notice, just like here tonight, he has to start talking. Blah, 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 blah.
所以因此佛陀就要开口去讲叭。
Right? So he talked.
好像我们的明也是说了，
Now I'm talking,
然后现在禅师说了，
and he translates.
那我就翻译了，
And then you listen.
然后你听，
But what do you hear?
可是你听到了什么？
So in the Diamond Sutra, which is the source of all Zen teaching, he says a very interesting thing.
那从这个《金刚经》呢，也是我们禅宗非常注重的这个经文，《金刚经》呢有一句，
He says there's no formula that leads to enlightenment, means to waking up.
就是说我们要觉醒的话，没有一定的一个方程式。
There's no formula that allows you to wake up to what you truly are inside.
完全没有一个固定的方程式呢，可以让你觉醒，让你发现你本身内心里面的那个自我跟佛性。
So when you look closely at what he did, he looked inside, right?
所以你可以观察佛陀所做的呢，他只是往内观。
So just take a second and look inside.
所以我们利用我们这一秒钟呢，往内看。
So what'd you see?
那你看到了什么？
Very interesting.
非常非常的有趣。
Nobody wants to do that.
没有人要这么做。
Everybody would love to come, and I wish it would work. Come to a talk like this, I'll explain it to you, and then everything is no problem.
那每个人都喜欢呢，来到一个佛理讲座，那听我们的禅师老师开示之后，那你就明白了，那就什么问题都没有了。
So the Buddha said, I have no formula for you.
那佛陀已经说过了，我没有一个方程式可以给你。
He also said, I have 84,000 kinds of medicine to take away human beings' suffering, but I can't take it for you.
那我有84000种法门来治众生的这个苦，可是这个药呢，你要自己吃，我不能帮你吃这个法药。
So on the altar here is an image of the Buddha, right?
那我们在这里呢，有个佛陀的这个塑像。
But the Buddha said, do not make images of me. Do not make images of me.
那佛陀已经曾经说过，不要制造我的这个佛像。
Instead, in the old days, before Buddha statues, all you would see is the bottom of Buddha's feet.
那
Right?
在早期呢，我们没有看到那个佛陀的塑像，我们只看到佛陀的脚。
For Asian people, that's kind of rude. His feet are sticking right at you. Like,
可能对亚洲人觉得很不礼貌，因为有个就是佛脚就是对着你这样子。
but it has a behind meaning. Right?
可是它背后有一个真正的意义，
Do what I did.
就是说做我已经做的。
Right? We would say, follow my path.
就是跟着我的步伐，
Do what I did.
行我所行的。
But you have to do it.
可是你要自己去做。
So what does doing it mean?
那持续做是什么意思呢？
Well, doing it means following the Buddha.
那就是跟着佛陀的步伐。
So what qualities does the Buddha have?
那佛陀有什么样的一个就是优点？
One, for sure, is sincerity.
就是佛陀对人非常的真诚。
He's not doing this to become famous.
他不是为了出名来这么做的。
He's not doing it so Myong and Ming Yan Fa Shi will like him.
他没有为了这么做，只为了让明烟法师喜欢他。
He's not doing it to impress his friends about how great his clothes are. Look at these clothes.
他也不是为了让他的朋友，就是说赞叹他的衣服多么的好看，多么的漂亮。
He's not doing it to make a lot of money.
他不是为了钱财而这么做的。
He didn't leave home to find a better wife.
他出家呢是为了找一个更好的一个生活。
He left home for only one reason.
他不是为了出家去找更好的生活，他出家是为了找一样，只为了一个原因。
To answer the great question of life and death for all beings.
就是为了帮所有的众生呢寻找一个答案，就是人生的一个答案。
So we call this sincerity.
那我们就是说这是真诚。
We also call it direction.
我们也跟他说是我们的修行的方向。
Direction means why are you doing what you do?
那这个方向呢，就是你为什么做你现在做的事情。
So he already talked about putting down. That means letting rest I, my, me.
那他已经说过放下我执、我所、我见。
So what he found by looking inside is this I, my, me is always changing.
当他往内观的时候呢，他发现我的我执、我所、我见呢，都一直刹那间都一直在转变。
First he's a little boy,
那开始的时候他只是个小孩，
right? That's the birth of the Buddha, which we celebrate this week.
那就是佛陀诞生的时候，就是我们现在的卫赛节所庆祝的，就是佛陀的诞生日。
Then he left home.
然后他出家，
Then he got enlightenment.
然后他证悟了，
And then he taught.
然后他就传法教导。
The meaning behind all of that, the behind meaning is how do I get human beings out of suffering?
那背后的意义呢，就是为了要怎么去帮助众生呢脱离他们的痛苦。
So here's a secret. Everything that's true of Buddha is also true of you.
那其实对佛陀就是发生的这个事情呢，对佛陀是真的事情呢，对我们呢也是一样的。
These three things he saw are your direct experience,
这
yours.
三样东西啊，并老死呢，都是我们本身也会经历的一个经历。
So you've seen an old person, yeah?
所以你看到一个老人，
I get to see one every morning when I look in the mirror. Oh, that's an old person.
那禅师每天早上起来往镜子里面看呢，他就马上看到一位老人，就是他自己了啊。
And you've seen a sick person.
当你看到一位病人，
You even see it inside yourself.
那你往内看的时候，可能你会看见那个病人就是你自己了。
And probably everybody here has seen a dead person, maybe at a funeral, but you've seen one.
那相信各位呢有看过死人吧？
So behind those three things is this big question.
那这三个人背后呢，就是有个很大的这个疑环。
So the big question is represented by the fourth thing. He saw a seeker after truth.
那这三个人，他看到这三个人之后呢，看到第四个人就是个修行者。
So the seeking is very important.
所以这个寻找这个真理是非常重要的。
So another thing about the Buddha is he never give up.
那佛陀呢，还有一点呢，就是他拒绝放弃，
Right? He wouldn't take halfway answers.
他不会为了一个 一半的答案而感到满足。
He already knew that the answers were not in a book.
也知道答案并不在书本里面找得到的。
So that's very interesting because he doesn't write a book to tell you the answers.
这是非常有趣的，因为佛陀呢，并不会写了一本书来告诉大家这个答案。
So in the Diamond Sutra, he says there's no formula.
所以在金刚里说，他没有真正的一定的一个方程式。
There's no formula to get enlightenment and answer this big question.
所以没有真正的一个方程式呢，或者法呢，来教导你呢，来证到你的，帮助你证到这个答案。
He also says in the Diamond Sutra that he has no teaching to give. He says he has no teaching to give.
他说，在金刚经里面，他也说他也无法可说。
That means you're not going to find the answer inside a sutra,
就是说，你在这个经文里面呢，你找不到那个答案。
right? This is very interesting because people are always reading the sutras, right?
因为很多人都喜欢读这个经文，
The answer is not there.
可是问题呢，答案并不在这个经文里面。
In fact, the sutra says that the answer is not there.
其实呢，经文本身已经说了，答案不在那个经文里面。
So where is the answer?
那答案到底在哪里呢？
Yeah, he says very clearly, it's inside you.
说得很清楚呢，那答案就在我们内心里面。
But he can't do it for you.
可是呢，佛陀并不能帮助你去证到这个答案。
So this says the Great Way has no gate. Right?
所以这叫做无门关。
That means the way, his feet, the way, the path he took, there's no gate.
也就是说，佛陀行道的道路呢，没有门，只有无门关。
But you'll notice that's opposites thinking. Has a gate, doesn't have a gate.
所以你可以发现，它其实是个相对论，一个有门，一个无门。
There's something else.
那还有什么东西？
First of all, this question lives in your guts.
第一呢，这个问题呢，就在你骨子里面，
This is not an intellectual question.
并不是在我们思维上起的一个问题。
So maybe you're smart and you can read the Diamond Sutra in this old style of Chinese language and you can understand what it says. Most people can't, but maybe you can.
那我们读这个《金刚经》，如果你聪明的话呢，可能你可以理解经文上所说的。那可能很多人呢，因为它是就是古老的文字呢，可能有些人并不太了解它《金刚经》里面所说的一些东西。
Unfortunately, that's not going to help you.
那可是呢，这并不能帮助你。
So then what are you left with?
所以你剩下什么呢？
So one of the most famous Zen masters of the later Tang dynasty is Zen master Xiangyan.
那在唐朝呢，有位非常著名的禅师，就是维善禅师。
So he was famous as a Buddhist scholar. He studied the sutras a lot, wrote books and commentaries. He knew everything about the sutras.
所以他读了很多的佛经，有很多佛的这个理论，他也是非常清楚的。
He was a student of Baizhang Zen master.
他是百丈禅师的一位学生，
But also inside, he's very sincere.
在内心深处，他也是非常的这个虔诚，非常的有诚意。
So he's looking inside and thinking, wait a minute, what did I really get?
他就是问自己说，往内心问自己说，我到底得到了些什么？
So if Baizhang would ask him a question, he could give 10, 15, 20 answers like that because he's really smart.
所以当他的老师百丈禅师问他一个问题的时候呢，那维山这个学生呢就懂得回答，他可以给10个、15个问题，就是刹那间就可以给老师这个答案，因为这个学生呢非常的聪明。
It's said that if you ask him one question, he could give 10 answers.
所以就是说，你问我一个问题，我可以回答你10个答案。
But inside, he's very dissatisfied.
可是，在内心深处，他还是感到深深的不满足。
So finally, he burns all of his sutras and all of his commentaries and leaves and just goes take care of an old temple up in the mountains.
所以有一天呢，他终于放弃了所有的经文跟论文，把它全部烧掉呢，就离开了这个寺庙，跑到山里面去了。
But one day he goes and visits Guishan, who's a student of Baijiang.
那维山呢，就是百丈禅师的一位学生。
So Guishan looks at him and says, I've heard that you can give 10 answers to any question.
那这个维山呢，有一天就拜访这百丈禅师，就问他说：“听说我每个人问你一个问题呢，每个人问你一个问题呢，你可以给他10个答案。”
So I have a question for you.
那我有一个问题想问你。
What is your original face, the face you had before you were born?
在你出生的时候，你的本来面目是什么呢？
Then he's stuck.
他突然间他就愣着了。
Right? Sometimes when you read these books and there's some kind of like Kongan, and you read the Kongan, and in your mind nothing appears. Just,
所以当你有时在读一些经文的时候，或者在参这个公案的时候，有时候呢，突然间你就愣住了，脑袋呢一片的这个空白。
So this happened to Xiangyan.
所以这个事情呢，发生在香岩身上。
So he went back to his hermitage.
他就回到了自己一个小木屋。
So he has to take care of this old building. It's falling down. You know, the roof tiles are falling off. The doors are falling down. Nothing is good.
他要去照料他的这个寒舍，就是真的是寒舍，因为这个门快要掉下来了，屋子的屋顶要塌下来了。
So he's just living there.
他就住在那。
Very simple life. You know?
非常简单的生活。
But inside is always this, what is it?
那内心深处呢，只有一个问题说是什么？
Then one day he's sweeping the courtyard with a broom.
那有一天呢，在他的这个屋外呢，在扫地的时候。
And the broom catches a small piece of broken roof tile.
那这个他的这个扫帚呢，扫到了一个被破坏下来一个小块的这个屋顶的这个瓦片。
And the broom catches it and throws it in the air, and it hits a piece of bamboo.
那不小心呢，就把这个扫帚呢扫到这个瓦片呢，那瓦片呢飞起来打到一个竹片，
Then his mind opens.
那突然间呢，他的心打开了。
He said, "Oh, that's it."
他说就是这样。
Then inside he feels very grateful.
他内心呢感到非常非常的感激。
So he goes to his room and takes a bath.
他就回到房间就冲了个凉。
Then he puts on his best monk's clothes.
他就穿了最好看的这个服饰。
He goes to the main Dharma hall.
他就去到了他的这个坛堂。
Lights incense and bows towards Guishan's temple.
他就是点了这个蜡烛呢，要向着维山禅师的方向顶礼。
Then he says, "Thank you, teacher.
他说：“谢谢你，老师。
Because of your kindness, you never explained anything to me."
由于你的慈悲心呢，你没有解释任何东西给我听。
Very interesting.
非常的有趣。
I'm sorry.
非常对不起。
I just explained a whole bunch to you.
因为我刚刚解释了一大堆东西给大家听。
So he's very famous.
所以他非常非常的出名。
He's probably most famous for this koan about a man hanging by his teeth from a branch high up in a tree.
那他最著名的公案就是香岩上树。
Right? So the koan goes like this.
那公案是这样子的。
Xiangyan said,
那香岩说了。
"It's like a man hanging by his teeth."
就是有个人在树上用牙齿咬着这个树枝。
From a branch high up in a tree.
那个树枝离这个地很高，在树上。
His hands and his feet are tied with a rope.
他手脚呢被绑着。
So what that means is he can't touch the branch and he can't touch the tree because he's tied up.
所以他不能用他手或脚去触碰那个树枝，因为他手脚被绑起来了。
Then another man comes and walks underneath the tree.
那有一个人呢，从树下经过，
And looks up at him.
他就望着树上的人。
Then the man underneath the tree says, "Why did Bodhidharma come to China?"
那个人就问了，为何祖师西来意？
So this is a very Zen, clever Zen way of saying, what's the meaning of life?
所以其实这是传中非常有趣的一个问的方式，因为他真正的意思就是说，人生的意思是什么？
So he yells up the question, "Why did Bodhidharma come to China?" Yells it up to him.
所以他的问题就是说，为何祖师西来意呀？
Right? So he has a problem. The guy in the tree has a problem,
所
right?
以吊在树上那个人有一个很大的一个问题了。
Because if he opens his mouth to answer, what happens?
如果他张开口回答的话，会发生什么事情？
Dead. But then the man underneath the tree has a gun and says, "Well, if you don't answer, I'm going to shoot you."
可是，在树下的人有一把枪，说：“你如果不回答我的话呢，我会开枪打死你。”
So if you're that person hanging in the tree, how do you stay alive?
如果你是吊在树上那个人，你要怎么做才能够保持你的生命？
So a lot of people say to me, "Boy, this koan is really stupid."
那有些人对我说：“这个方案非常的愚蠢，
Right? Nobody would ever be in that situation.
没有人会把自己放在像这样的一个处境。”
Right? Have you ever been in that situation?
No.
No, he hasn't.
所以质问灵演师，他有在放自己在这样的一个处境吗？灵演师说不会。
But if you look at it closely,
可是你仔细的观察的话，
it's every human being's situation.
它其实是我们每一个人类的一个处境。
We're all hanging from a branch by our teeth.
我们每个人呢，都是用牙齿咬着树枝挂在这个树上。
So tell me, when are you going to die?
告诉我，你什么时候会往生？
Next week?
下个礼拜吗？
Next year?
明年？
Let's see, I'm 74, so maybe I'll live 10 more years, maybe.
那我可能想，我可能还剩10年的这个寿命。
But easily you or me could die before this talk is over, right?
或者在我们佛理讲座结束之前呢，可能这里有人往生了，不一定。
So that's hanging in the tree.
所以这就是我们有一个人呢吊在树上。
So then the question is very interesting. How do you stay alive?
那问题很简单，就是说你如果要如何活下来。
So you went to school, right?
说他有上学。
You went to school?
你有上学吧？
Yeah. So you know, wait a minute, everybody dies.
那等一下，我们每一个人都会死亡，对吗？
So obviously you can't stay alive.
所以他并不能活下来。
Unfortunately, that is thinking.
那可是呢，他只是思维。
So no matter what you think, just like with the Buddha, no matter what he thought, he couldn't get out of the big question.
所以不管你怎么思维，就像佛陀一样，他不管怎么样的思维呢，他不能证到这个问题的这个答案。
That means his hands were tied, his feet were tied, and he was hanging from a branch. We're all like that.
所以因此呢，他的手脚呢被绑着，他口呢是咬着树枝。那我们跟佛陀呢是同样一个处境。
Even Xiangyan is like that.
那香言也是这样。
Then how do you become alive?
那你要如何活下来？
So the rock hits the bamboo.
所以这个石头呢撞击到这个竹片。
Now you'll notice everybody woke up at just that second, right?
那发现每位当然一刹
That was it.
那就是了，
That's how you stay alive.
那就是要如何活下来，
Try waking up just now.
就是我们当下觉醒。
So already, Myong Sunim said, how about just this moment?
那明眼师已经有说过了，当下，
Now that sounds very clever. What about just this moment?
所以那个是一个非常聪明的一个问题。
Theravadan teachers always are talking about mindfulness, keeping this mindful mind, right? This moment.
那可能有些老师会教导我们要保持一个清明心，我们当下这此刻的这个清明心。
Why talk about that?
可是为何只是说而已？
So let's put this moment over here for a second. Okay?
那我们把这个当下呢放在这里。
Can anybody give me one moment from the past? Just give it to me.
那有没有人可以从这个我们的过去的那个当下，哪一片那个当下过来这里？过去的一个当下。
Now on your phone, like he said, people are very attached to the phones. You can look at photos from the past. Like I took some photos this morning with my phone, and I could look. Whoa, that happened in the past, right?
那我们可能很多人喜欢用这个玩具手机，那我们用这个手机呢，可能之前呢我们拍了一些照片，那我们现在呢可以从这个手机上呢看到我们过去的一些照片。
But I don't have that.
可是我们没有那样。
I'm looking at the photo now, not then.
我们现在所看的呢，是我们当下就放在这手机里面的照片。
So I'm not explaining anything to you. Look inside. Do you really have one moment, just 1 second of the past? Do you have it?
你可以拥有你过去的当下的1秒钟吗？有吗？
Now next, give me 1 second of the future.
那接下来可以不可以给我们未来的1秒钟？未来的还没发生过的1秒钟。
Something very simple like leaving here tonight. Like you're going to have to get up from your chair and leave. You
就好
can't,
像你需要站起来来离开这个你的位置，
right? You can think about it, but you don't have it.
可是你想一想，你并没有它。
And here's the other interesting thing. This moment that he was talking about already went by.
就是刚才当下我们法师在开示的时候已经过去了。
So here's what the Diamond Sutra says.
那金刚经说了，
You can't hold on to past mind.
现在心不可得，
Right? You can't keep your present mind.
这个过去心不可得，现在心不可得。
Right? If you ever did any practicing, you notice your mind is always changing. Boop, 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 boop,
那
boop,
你有
boop,
修
boop.
行的话，你发现你的心念呢，无时无刻都在进行的变化。
And this moment, it already went by.
所以我们讲当下呢，当下已经过去了。
So you don't have future mind, you don't have past mind, and even present mind, you can't keep it.
所以我们的现在心、过去心、现在心都不可得。
So that's every human being's experience.
所以这是我们每一个人的一个体验。
But they're very attached to thinking about the past.
可是我们人类呢，都非常执着我们的过去，一直思维我们的过去。
Remember that bad thing at work today that somebody did to you? Do you remember that?
所以想到你今天你工作的时候，有些人在工作上给你制造一些问题，你记得吗？
Remember how good the coffee was at Toastbox this morning?
那记得你们今天早上在这个托斯包里面喝这个咖啡，那咖啡多么的美味香醇吗？
Right? Toastbox is the best.
那托斯包的咖啡是最好的，
You don't have that.
那你没有。
Then what about the future?
那我们的未来呢？
Boy, I can't wait to get out of this boring talk and go home and go to bed.
那我非常期待呢，可以结束这个非常冗长而且非常无聊的这个会议讲座，我可以回家，我可以睡觉。
But that already went by.
可是那也是已经过去了，
Because now you're listening to what I'm saying right now.
因为你现在在听阐释的这个开示，现在。
And when I shouted, you were really listening to what I said.
当禅师大吼的那一刹那，你真的在听禅师的大吼。
So the great way has no gate.
所以大道是无门的，
That means the mind has no gate.
就是说我们的心没有门。
In Buddhism, we say the mind is infinite in time and space.
说我们的佛陀已经有说过，我们的心呢是不局限在任何的空间，不局限在任何的时空的。
But most human beings are attached to some idea,
可是我们很多人类呢都非常执着这个观念，
right? I don't like the man at work.
我不喜欢我工作的同事，
I love the woman that works in the Xerox department.
我喜欢那个在我们这个复印部门的这位美女。
And why doesn't my brother get a job?
那为什么我的弟弟呢或哥哥不找工作呢？
So we're always thinking.
说我们不断的在思维。
And mostly we think about two things that don't even exist.
那我们非常常思维两种事情呢，完全根本并不存在的东西，
The past
就是过去
and the future.
跟未来。
And they don't exist.
然后我们过去未来并不存在。
So think of all the energy you use thinking about these two things,
那
right?
你想象一下，你耗费了多少的能量去思维我们的过去跟我们的未来？
You're worried,
那你非常的担忧，
you're angry,
你感到非常的生气，
you want something,
你要得到一些东西，
you can't wait to go to Toastbox tomorrow morning.
你迫不及待想明天去这个多少喝那个咖啡，
You can think about anything.
所以你可以思维任何的东西。
Some people even want to go and colonize Mars. Some people want to go and colonize Mars. They want to go live on Mars.
那有些人甚至想去火星上去生活。
If only that would solve our problem.
那如果他能真正解决我们的问题的话就好了。
One time somebody said, I can't figure out why what people want to go on a spaceship to Mars, we can't even live in Detroit.
那有些人就说到了，我不明白为什么有些人呢要跑到火星上去居住，我们不能生活，根本都不能生活在我们这个 Detroit 的这个城市里面。
So that's an American joke.
所以它是一个美国人的一个笑话，就为什么我不能在这个美国城市生活？那有些人甚至想去火星上去生活。
So everybody thinks that the solution to life is I get what I want.
那每个人都认为呢，我们的生活里面，我们的解决我们问题的呢，就是当我们得到我们想要得到的东西，就能解决我们的问题。
But the Buddha said that the answer to life is to let go.
可是佛陀教导我们呢，真正的答案呢，生命的答案呢，就是为了要放下，
To not win anything.
是不要任何的东西。
So that's the great way.
那就是大道无门。
So one of the most famous Zen teachers and the one who taught Zen teachers how to talk is Myong.
那有位非常著名的这个禅师，有一个非常明确的教导，就是我们的慧能六祖慧能禅师。
He's the sixth patriarch.
就是我们禅宗的六祖。
He's about 100 years before Xiangnian. He's about
他在100年前，就是100年后，就是相年之后，相年之前的100年
yeah.
前。
So he got enlightenment when he heard just one line from the Diamond Sutra.
那慧能呢，就是听到《金刚经》里面的一句呢，就开悟了。
And this one line says, when thinking arises in your mind, don't attach to it.
那《金刚经》这一句呢，就是因无所住而生起心。
So here we go, the Diamond Sutra again.
那我们又回到我们的《金刚经》。
But this sentence is about an experience.
那其实这一句呢，就是一个体验，
An experience that you have.
就是可能你有的一个体验。
You had it when I shouted, actually.
所以你听到禅师大声吼的时候，你已经有体验到了。
It's an experience that I can have.
它也是我可以拥有的一个体验。
And it's the experience that the Buddha had when he saw a star.
也是佛陀看到星星那一刹那的一个体验。
Let go of your thinking.
就是放下你的思维，
Don't try to get rid of it. Let go of it.
不要去想要去除你的思维，只是放下你的思维。
So it's just like the patriarch Seng Tsang that he was talking about. Just let go of all of your likes and dislikes.
也就是说，放下我们的执着、我们的喜欢跟厌恶的心。
Then you return to what you originally are.
那我们回到我们的本来面目，
It's just like pushing a clear button on a pocket calculator.
就像我们在我们的计算机上面呢，按那个清楚键。
When you push the clear button, it returns to its original state.
当你按这个清楚键的时候呢，它就回到它原本的
You
状
can,
况。
you can do the same thing up here to this calculator.
那同样呢，我们可以再用同样的清除键来清除我们这里的这个计算机，
That's your true self.
那就是我们的真性。
So now I've explained too much.
那我们现在已经解释了太多。
So what you do when you explain too much is you ask a question that nobody can answer.
那问题你解释太多的时候，你问一个问题呢，你
So there's a famous Korean Zen master. His name is Hyo Bong. Hyo Bong.
那有一位非常著名的韩国禅师叫做古风，
And he asked his students this question.
他问了他的学生一个问题。
So there's a gate.
有一个门，
It's not that gate, it's a gate.
不是这个门，这是另外一个门。
So listen closely. From the north, this gate looks like the south gate.
那只听清楚了，从北方看呢，这门像一个南方的门。
But if you look at this gate from the south, it looks like the north gate.
那你从南方看呢，这个门像北方的门。
And if you look at this gate from the west, it looks like the east gate.
那你从西方来看呢，这个门像一个东方的门。
But if you look at it from the west, it looks like the east gate.
那你从东方看呢，它像一个西方的门。
Now, this gate is very special because Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are always coming and going through this gate.
那这个门呢，非常的有趣呢，因为这个佛菩萨、诸佛菩萨呢，都在这个门里面呢进进出出。
So here's his question.
那问题来了，
How do you,
你如何，
meaning you,
就是你，
how do you pass through this gate?
你要怎么穿越这个门？
Don't know.
不知。
So what appeared in your mind?
那你什么在你的心念上面出现呢？
That's you.
那就是你了。
But nobody believes it.
可是没有人相信。
So when Buddha got enlightenment, he believed it 100%. Wow, this is great, and this is what we all are.
当佛陀证悟的时候，他180%相信了。他说：“这就是我。”
That's why we still listen to what he says 2,500 years ago, even though it won't help us.
所以这就是为什么我们2500年之后，我们还是听从这个佛陀的教导。
But something will help you.
可是呢，有一项东西可以帮助你的，
Start looking inside
就是往内关照，
and do it very sincerely, just like the Buddha.
非常诚心的往内关照，就如佛陀一样。
That means don't want anything.
就是说，不要任何的东西。
The biggest problem people have with practicing meditation is they want something from it.
所以修行的最大的问题呢，是修行者呢喜欢从中呢获得到一些东西，
Don't want anything.
不要任何东西。
Enlightenment is not a special state of mind.
开悟并不是个很特别的一个境界，
It's before any state of mind.
它是超越，其实在每个不同的境界之前的，不是超越，对不起，
You
在
never-
每个境界之前的，
You never come and go from enlightenment.
在这个
You never come and go from enlightenment.
Right. Can you say that?
这个政府呢没有来没有去，
Right. So that's the east, west, south, north gate.
所以东南西北门，
Find that gate, and then you can help yourself, your friends, the people you work with, your family.
所以正入这个门呢，你可以帮助你的朋友、你的家人、你的同事跟我们 一切的众生，
You can help the whole world.
你可以帮助整个世界。
That's the big message of the Buddha.
这就是佛陀所真正要传达的信息。
Unfortunately, it has no path and no gate.
问题呢，就是它没有真正的一条明确的道路呢，也是一个无门关。
But you have it inside.
但是呢，你本身内心深处已经拥有它了，
So find it.
所以去找它吧。
That'll help you, help me, and help everyone.
所以它会帮助你，也可以帮助我，也帮助我们大家。
So thank you for listening.
谢谢各位的。
Yes, question.
So now we'd like to thank the Zen masters for the talk, and we'd like to open the floor for questions. 现在我们大家如果有问题的话，可以问我们的讲师，请把握机会。
2.
Yes.
1, 2.
Thank you very much for a very interesting talk this evening. My question is, when we try to look inside ourselves, what exactly should we be thinking of?
那他的问题呢，是我们往内心去问自己的时候，我们思维应该想些什么呢？
Yeah. So the easiest way to think about this is the technique that the Buddha used.
那就是说，我们要用佛陀所用的一个方式，我们跟着佛陀的方式。
Right? There's many kinds of meditation technique.
那很多这个修行的这个方式，
So they range from being very simple to being very complicated.
有非常简单的，也有非常复杂的。
So if you do what the Buddha did, which is just breathe in and breathe out and pay attention, very simple.
那如果看佛陀的这个做法呢，他只是在那边呼跟吸，非常的简单。
In fact, I just told you everything that the Buddha did. Breathe in, breathe out, and pay attention.
所以我告诉你，佛陀的这个修行方式非常简单，就是呼跟吸而已，然后保持一个清明心，
Very simple.
非常简单。
Then I have one friend who lives in Dharmasala in India, and he practices Tibetan Buddhism.
那我有朋友呢，住在印度呢，他用这个西藏的修行方式来修行。
He's a practitioner of Dzogchen, but he knows everything about Tibetan Buddhism.
他非常熟悉这个禅修，他对这个西藏的修行方式也非常的熟悉。
So some Tibetan techniques can be very complicated, right?
那西藏的修行方式可能它会比较复杂。
He says, Tibetan people say to him, well, the Buddha only did one simple thing and got everything.
那佛陀呢，只做一样东西，他得到了一切。
We have 10,000 techniques. What did we ever get?
那我们有就是10000种这个修行的方式，可是我们从中获到些什么呢？
So actually what's important is that you look inside
可是最重要的是往内关照，
and you keep this moment mind.
那保持一个当下的心，
Myong was talking about paying attention to this moment.
就是说我们要注重我们的当下。
So in English we call that just now mind.
所以我们的英语就是 just now mind， 就是当下的心。
So all meditation techniques, whether it's the Buddha or even something more simple like Shikantaza, they're all based on this one principle, keeping a just now mind.
所以所有的修行方式呢，其实它的基础呢，就是保持一个当下的心。
So usually we're off somewhere, right?
很多时候呢，我们的心可能在到处飘。
It happens all the time. As soon as you start thinking about something, you go there,
所
right?
以你当你一起念想一些东西的时候呢，你就会跟着这个念头走。
I just went shopping on Orchard Road.
You did?
Yes, I did.
那我们禅师呢，刚刚去乌节路去购物了。
But then I wake up. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not on Orchard Road. I'm sitting over here in Bukit Gongwak giving a talk.
那唐师呢就突然间觉醒了，他不在乌节路购物，他在这边开示这个佛法。
So anytime you can wake up to just this moment, that's what he was talking about, right?
你不可以觉醒到我们的当下。
That's what the Buddha did.
所以佛陀也是这么做。
Right? The night before his enlightenment, all this stuff happened, like all these demons visiting him and beautiful women and all this stuff, you know. So that's what that means is that's his thinking.
所以他的佛陀开悟之前那个晚上呢，他就很多这个心魔和魔障的出现，其实它是本身的一个思维。
But in the morning, he lets go of his thinking.
所以当他早上看到这个星星的时候，他就放下，他就放下了所有的思维。
Then, as soon as you let go of your thinking, everything becomes the truth.
所以当你放下你的思维的时候，一切就变成真理了。
So he sees a star, right?
所以他看到一个晨星，
Then he wakes up.
然后他觉醒了，
Then he realized, wow, this is really me. This is what I am.
他就知道，真正的是我，我就是这个。
And in fact, that's what everybody is.
其实他是我们大家都是。
Then you have to use this just now mind to help the world.
那我们要用这个当下觉醒的心呢，来帮助我们的世界。
So inside where there's clear, pure and clear thing,
所以我们内心呢有个清明之物，
usually it's covered over by clouds, like I don't like my husband and I really like my mother.
那很多时候呢，我们被我们的乌云呢障碍住了，可能我们不喜欢我们的父亲，我们喜欢我们的母亲。
These clouds are always floating through our mind, right?
所以这乌云呢，不断在我们内心深处呢，不断地遮蔽我们。
So the meditation technique is just to let you let go of that for a second.
那我们修行方向呢，就是要帮助我们呢放下我们的这个就是去除我们这个乌云。
When I shouted, that was a meditation technique too.
所以当尝试大吼的时候呢，也是修行的方式。
Except if I shout again, it's not going to work because everybody will expect it.
可是禅师想再大吼一声的话，他不会成功，因为大家都已经是大吼，已经做好准备了，所以那个教导方式已经不管用了。
So-
use another method.
What?
You have to use another method.
All right, okay.
Thank you
So,
for sharing.
so what we'll do is we'll use the broom method.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead and sit down.
方式，
We'll use the broom method.
然后用那扫把的方式，
So we'll sweep the floor
然后我们会扫这个地，
and we'll remain very mindful. Keep a just now mind.
那我会保持一个清明心。
Then the broom will catch a rock and throw it against the bamboo. Boing.
那这个扫把呢，就扫到这个石块呢，就撞到这个土片上面。
So what all these stories are doing is talking about keeping a just now mind.
所以我们这个故事，所有故事都教导我们呢，就是一个当下的心。
So that's what you do. That's what you do. Keep a just now mind.
所以保持一个当下的心，
And this sincerity. It has to have a clear direction.
所以保持一个真诚的心跟一个明确的一个方向。
So that's what the Buddha did.
所以那是佛陀所做的。
Any other questions?
其他的问题？
Thank you, Both Master, for delivering this Dharma talk. Thank you, the translator. My question is, in this modern age, most of the Buddhist disciples are collecting Dharma books and CDs and even prostrating to the Buddha images. But many of them will have one question. I'm collecting all these Dharma books, all these CDs, all these images. If one day I want to dispose it, how do I do it? Okay, thank you.
OK， 所以他的问题说，很多佛友呢喜欢收集这个佛像、塑像、经书、经文等等。那可能有些佛友就有这个疑惑呢，就是有一天呢，我不要这些佛像或者是经文的时候呢，我该怎么办？我应该怎么去处理它们？
Yeah, people naturally accumulate stuff.
那我们人类呢，一般上都喜欢收集东西。
Right? Everybody likes stuff.
每个人都喜欢收集一些东西。
So why do you like stuff? You like stuff because it makes you happy.
为什么你喜欢收集东西呢？因为这些东西让你得到快乐。
But if you get too much stuff, then you have too much stuff and then you're unhappy.
那你如果有太多东西呢，却无法去处理。
So that can even happen with Dharma stuff.
那同样呢，也是会发生在这个法的这些东西。
So this Xiangyan, the man with the bamboo and the rock,
所以这个香岩上树这个扫地的扫地这个图片打到这个石头种地到图片的这个公案。
he burned all of his stuff.
所以这个禅师呢，把他的所有的经文呢，全部烧掉了。
Also, De Shan Zen Master, he burned all of his sutras, right?
那德山禅师呢，也把他的经文跟论文全部给烧了。
But I wouldn't suggest burning all your CDs.
不过我不会建议把你的 CD 全部烧掉。
So the best thing you do is give them to friends.
所以最好的方式处理方式呢，就把它遗传出去，交给你的其他朋友和国友吧。
So share it with some Dharma center or give it to a friend or share it. Use it to help people.
所以用你的这些你可以把它继续再流传过去，或者是放在可以流转的一个流通处很多地方都有这个流通处，你可以去放在那边，让它继续的流传。
So De Shan and Xiangyan, they burned all of their sutras and the commentaries.
所以德山跟香岩呢，都把他们的这个经文跟论文呢，全部都烧掉了。
But they didn't burn it for themselves.
可是他不是为了自己来烧的，
They burned it to make a point for other human beings.
可是他烧的经文呢，就是为了证实一个点给我们大家看。
And actually, the point was the Great Way has no gate. That's why I can burn these.
所以那个点呢，就是大道无门，那就是为什么我可以把这些经文全部烧了。
So they're doing it out of love and compassion, not to build a big fire in the middle of the Dharma room.
所以他是为了一个慈悲心来教导我们众生呢，才把经文烧了，不是为了要这个起这个火呢来取暖。
So that's what you can do with all that stuff.
所以这是你可以做的，可以把那个旧的这些经文呢，再重新的流传下去，帮助更多人。
Okay? Any other questions?
其他的问题？
问吗？没有佛教讲的是戒定慧，是吧？我们从戒修定，再修慧。这样，我想问，在佛教里面到底有多少戒律？
戒律。He's asking how many precepts are there in Buddhism, because from precepts you develop samadhi and then you develop wisdom from there. So how many precepts are there?
There's only one precept.
只有一个。
Help all beings.
就是帮助所有的众生，那好像是菩萨戒，是不是菩提萨埵 precepts？
No, that's all the precepts.
但是所有的戒律。
So the precepts come from the Buddha perceiving that people are doing things that are not helpful, right?
那这个戒律来自我们佛陀，因为他观察到呢，很多人呢都做了不帮助其他人的事情。
So what are they doing that's not helpful?
为什么人要做这些不帮，就是对我们其他人没有意义的东西呢？
So they're following their desire, anger, and ignorance.
因为我们跟着我们的贪嗔痴。
So he says, well, try not doing this.
那佛陀说，尽量不要去做那些东西。
Like, don't kill people.
对，不要杀人。
And try not doing this.
不要这么做。
Like, stop stealing stuff.
不要偷其他人的东西。
Or stop doing this.
不要做这样东西。
Stop lying.
不要讲骗话。
So all of those are forms of I, my, me.
因为那些都是我所、我执跟我见。
So I said there was only one precept, and that's to help people.
那我们禅师所说的只有一个戒律，就是要帮助其他的人。
So everybody has the wisdom to know these things are for me.
那我们大家都有智慧，都知道这些都是
But all those, whatever you get from stealing or from killing somebody, whatever you get, soon it'll go away.
因为不管你杀了人或偷了别人的东西呢，你所得到的东西呢，一下子就会消失了，一定会消失掉的。
So if you want something, only two things can happen.
所以你想得到东西呢，只有两件事情会发生。
One, you don't get it.
那一呢，你得不到，
Then inside you have a bad feeling.
然后你内心你就痛苦了。
The second thing that can happen, and this is actually the worst thing that can happen, is you get it.
那第二样会发生的事情呢，其实更糟糕，因为你得到了你所要的。
Now everybody thinks that if they get what they want, that's good.
那每个人都认为我得到我想得到的东西呢，我会得到，我会很开心。
But the Buddha said, no, that's bad.
因为佛都说，可是却说的是相反，那是不好的。
And the reason it's bad is because soon it'll go away.
为什么会不好呢？因为你所得到的，不久后呢也会消失。
So we've been talking about this all evening,
所以我们整个晚上都在说这个事情。
right? Even if you get a good situation, soon it'll go away.
所以即使你得到一个很好的处境，不久之后它便会消失了。
Right? He said, your wife looks at you and says, honey, do you know, right? I got something, now it's going away.
所以刚才我们明眼师有说过了，他的那个男生呢，已经得到一个很好的处境，可是他老婆说，我们的小孩要去上学什么什么呢，需要什么什么呢，所以他好的处境突然间就消失了。
So the opposite of I want something is I want to help. The opposite of
所以我们的就是说我们的相反呢，我想得到一些东西的相反呢，就是说我想帮助这个世界。
then the stuff you have is not for you. The stuff you have is to help the world.
所以你得到的东西呢，不是为了自己，你所得到的东西呢，只是为了帮助大家，帮助这个世界。
So one of the 5 desires is money, right?
所以
Money.
五贵当中呢，就是有一个就是钱财。
But money itself is not good and not bad.
那钱财本身呢，并没有好，并没有坏，
It's the desire for money that's bad.
可是为了这个追求这个钱财的这个欲望呢，是不好的。
But money can have a big desire attached to it.
可是为了钱财呢，我们却可以生很大的一个这个欲望。
So just like his Dharma stuff, you can use your money to help the world.
就好像你的这个佛法经文呢，你可以用你的钱呢来帮助这个世界。
So it's all about your intention,
所以最主要是你本身的一个目的，
your vow,
就是你的大愿
your direction.
跟你的方向。
So none of these things are good and bad by themselves. It's what do you do with them?
所以这些东西呢，并没有好跟坏，是你如何去好好的运用它。
So Buddha doesn't keep his enlightenment for himself. He gets up and teaches the world.
那佛陀呢，没有因为自己证悟呢，想自己保有这个证悟，因为佛陀呢就站起来呢，教导我们众生。
So that's why I said there's only one precept, help the world.
所以为什么禅师说只有一个建议呢？就是要帮助这个世界，
Then your life will naturally take care of itself.
然后你的生活呢就会自动的运行，
Okay?
可以吗？
Any other questions?
其他问题？
Hi, Master Dae Kwang. I have 2 questions.
大声一点，louder。
Can you hear me?
Closer to the mic.
Can you hear me? Okay, I have 2 questions. The first question is when we do our daily meditation practice, does that naturally clear the baggage and the stuck emotions that we have within us? That's my first question.
OK，说的他的第一个问题是，当我们进行禅修修行的时候呢，会不会清除我们本身体的一些障碍跟我们的一些就是我们情绪上面的一些障碍。Question is, okay, let me try to read the question.
I can repeat it.
Does it help to clear our emotions and the other various obstacles we have in our
Yes. Yes, it does, and here's how it does it, right? So you'll notice that suffering comes from desire, anger, and ignorance, right? Says the Buddha.
那禅师说，修行呢，我们可以帮忙呢去除我们的一些障碍，因为我们人生会受苦呢，因为我们太执着我们的贪嗔痴。
So everybody has those emotions inside, right?
所以我们每个人都有这个不良的这个情绪。
Probably today everybody here got angry or they wanted something, right?
或者可能有些人听的时候，他们感到生气，或者因为他们想得到一些东西。
So those are small I want.
那就是说小我所要得到的东西。
But then there's a big I want.
可是呢，有一个大我所要得到的东西。
So that's the feeling that you have inside when you see somebody suffering.
就是说，我们看到有人受苦的时候呢，我们本身会感觉到灵敏。
So that's what the Buddha says. He sees the suffering of the world, and inside he has a feeling, oh, that's terrible.
那佛陀看到众生都在受苦呢，他就升起了一个慈悲心。
So that's what we call a clear emotion.
那就是其实就是很清明的一个情绪。
So there's emotions that aren't so clear, like I don't like you, right?
有些情绪呢，并不很清明，就是说他打你的时候，你会感觉到痛苦，你会感觉到生气。
And then there's clear emotion, which is how can I help you?
那有更清明的情绪呢，就是要帮助这个世界，我如何去帮助你？
Okay?
Yeah, my second question is some people get enlightened a lot more faster or easily than others. How do we, what causes some to attain enlightenment with a lot more ease and others who are practicing and not getting very
Right.
far?
然后第二个问题就是说，为什么有些修行者呢，好像很容易就开悟了，好像听到声音什么就开悟了，就很简单。那为什么很多修行者呢，不管修了多久了，多么困难呢，还是不开悟？为什么 ？Why?
Now tell me, was that slow or was that fast? Which one?
那禅师问大家，那个哈是快还是慢？
Slow or fast?
快还是慢？
So enlightenment doesn't have slow or fast.
说开悟呢，没有快和慢。
Because it means wake up this moment.
因为它真正的意思呢，就是当下。
And in fact, this moment doesn't even have this moment because this moment already went by.
可是当下并不存在，因为当下已经过去了。
So it's very simple. You just let go just now.
所以当下你放下。
My teacher wrote a book that said, wanting enlightenment is already a mistake.
那我的禅师有告诉我呢，你要追寻开悟呢，已经是很大的一个错误。
So these people that you think are a little bit slow,
那可能有些人你觉得他会有点慢，
it's because they want something.
因为他们想要得到一些东西。
Some even want enlightenment.
那有些人更想证入这个开悟，
That's a big problem.
那个是很大的一个问题。
So don't want anything.
所以不要任何的东西。
So some people want something fast, like sudden.
那有些人很希望很快的得到东西，
Then they don't get it, so they think it's slow.
然后得不到的时候，他就觉得，为什么这么慢得不到这个东西？
Or it's gradual,
为什么它很缓慢？
right? Enlightenment doesn't have slow, sudden, gradual, fast, high, low, in, out, up, down. Doesn't have any opposites.
那我们的开悟呢，没有快跟慢，也没有高，没有低，没有上，没有下，没有进，没有出。 没有相对的。
Remember, enlightenment is just a word.
那开悟只是一个文字，
If you're attached to this word, you got a big problem.
你执着这个文字就有一个很大的问题。
If you're lucky enough to have somebody like me shout,
如果你幸运的话，你问一个法师，法师会大吼一声的话，
you already get it.
那你已经证到了。
Like my teachers and Master Sung Sung Wei said, getting enlightenment is really easy.
那松德禅师告诉我们，要证入开悟的话，非常非常的简单。
Right? You heard my shout, right? Was that hard or easy? That was easy, right?
所以你听到禅师大吼一声，那非常简单，对吗？
But keeping enlightenment, that's a little bit difficult.
可是要保留这个证悟的心、开悟的心呢，确实很难。
Right? So everybody experiences keeping this just now mind. Watch what happens. Dun, 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 then it goes away, right?
我们大家都有这个体验，我们想尽量保持在开悟的心，然后就消失了，
Then you come back.
然后它就回来了。
As soon as you come back, that's it.
当它回来之后，那就是这样，
So just keep your just now mind. Don't.
保持你当下的心。
Very important is don't fight with your thinking.
所以很重要的，不要跟你的思维对立、对抗、争斗。
Fighting with your thinking is wanting something.
所以跟你的思维对立的话，是因为你想得到一些东西。
I want a peaceful mind.
我要一个很平静的心。
I want to go into samadhi. How come I never go into samadhi?
进入真定，为什么我不能进入这个禅定？
That's because samadhi, a peaceful mind, is not made by your thinking, your attachment thinking.
因为这个禅定的境界呢，不是由你的思维想要证入这个心的这个欲念呢所得到的。
Actually, a peaceful mind comes from me shouting.
那一个平静的心呢，来自师父的这个禅师的这个大火。
For just that 1 nanosecond, your mind was completely peaceful.
因为在你那一听到禅师大吼的那一刹那呢，你的心已经平静了。
Because there was no attachment thinking.
因为当下呢，没有任何的执着的思维。
So this story, go, has no enlightenment,
所以那个故事呢，并没有任何的这个开悟，
has no great way,
也没有这个无门关，
has no gate,
没有门无门关，
has no I got something,
没有我得到任何东西，
has no I didn't get anything,
也没有我什么东西也得不到，
has no wow, that was great,
也没有啊，这太好了，
has no wow, that was stupid,
也没有啊，那太愚蠢了，
only has okay,
可以吗？
doesn't have gradual or sudden.
所以没有渐渐渐入，也没有顿的顿入。
So I want to thank you all for coming here and listening tonight.
我要感谢大家来到今天我们的讲座。
And most important is start doing some practicing.
最重要的是本身要进行一点修行。
Every day, do a little bit of this, keeping the just now mind.
每天呢，尽量保持一个当下的心。
Then you wake up in your life moment to moment to moment.
然后我们觉醒了每个当下，
So that's our job as a human being.
那就是我们人类的一个工作。
That's the opposite of I got something.
这是我们想要得到东西的
Right.
反义词。
I got something is made by your thinking.
因为我得到一些东西是我们的思维制造的，
You never got anything.
我们呢什么都得不到，
It's a dream.
因为那是一个妄想。
But you can wake up from this dream
可是我们可以从这个梦中呢觉醒，
by keeping this just now mind.
保持一个当下的心，
Then you get everything.
那你什么都得到。
And we also say, you got nothing.
那我们也说我什么也没有，
Because this is it.
因为这就是了。
Okay? Try that. Has a big result. Thank you.